glad to see you guys out here tonight.
Wow. Very nice. My name is Jennifer Aniston. You might know me from flipping the entire country on Tuesday.
I'm
Adrienne Lever. You might know me from all of the annoying text messages and emails you get about volunteering. I am so excited to be here with all of you guys tonight on the eve of the last weekend. Who's excited? So, fun new stat that everybody may not know. 40% of volunteers signing up and doing work with Swing Left are doing this for the first time in 2018. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Thanks, guys.
And that applies to you ladies too, right?
Oh, yes.
So
Indeed.
how did that happen? What
Volunteering?
Yeah. How did you get involved? Why this
I
year?
mean, my volunteering goes way back. I was the nerdy voting girl who couldn't even vote when she was 17, but was like, I'll check your name in at the voting booth, and would like take your ID. And I felt very excited about being able to do that in Venice, California, where I'm from. That was always really exciting to me, that and working for Heal the Bay and cleaning up the beach. So like activism olds into my teenage roots, but I think in recent years I've just been so pumped up because of this type of energy and the fact that there's been so many people out there for the first time and new generations. That to me is what's so exciting. I actually can't wait to see how millennials are going to come out and actually drag us, just drag all of us in the voting booth. That's what I hope that they all do.
Right. What about you, Piper?
Unlike Amber, I am new to this movement. When I heard, thanks. I'm with you, all you new people, I'm with you all the way. When I heard Trump on the Access Hollywood tapes and realized that they were going to still keep him as the nominee for president, I was so angry that I don't think I'll ever stop now. And I door knocked for the first time this year in the congressional district where I grew up. Yeah, it's really, the first door is really scary, but after that it's really fun. And I want to thank you, all you volunteers who've been doing this for so long, for more than 2 years now, some of you for a lifetime. I want to thank you for all your work that you're doing to volunteer. I was really scared, and now that I've done it, I love it. So thank you, and I'm with you.
Piper, it's kind of like an addiction, right? Do you feel like
It is.
an activism drug addict?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think part of the message of all of this too that I think is so important is the actual message of the voting potential and the fact that maybe perhaps each individually there's not much we can do, but cumulatively, if you look at all of us in this room, if you look at all of us in New York State, if you look at all of us in the country, we have the capacity to change something on a fundamental level, the thing that each of us is upset by or that we want to change. We have the power to do that together. And that was the first ever thing that I took away from the power of being able to vote, or the power of being able to even, when I was a child, I used to, send things in that I would put letters to and have people sign, and things that I believed in. And voting is exactly the same thing when you're trying to say, I believe in the power of the number and of multiples in numbers. And if I can say something here with my own vote, and I can stand here with other people that believe in the same thing as me, that makes me feel empowered and strengthened. And that's the most important thing that any of us can do, because this shit is free. In a country where nothing is free, we get to vote. Look at us, magic.
And we get to volunteer. I mean, the most exciting thing about tonight is we were thinking about what to do tonight. Should we have a huge vote rally with thousands of people who've never done anything before? Or should we focus on talking about the activists and celebrating the activists like you who are out there doing the work every day to make sure that we take back the House? And that was the decision, because right now it's about all of you. How many of you are already volunteering and have already volunteered with Swing Left?
Nice.
Yes. Amazing. Shout. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's amazing.
Yes.
And let me give you a little bit of scale, you guys. This is a midterm election. To have a room full of people who have already been volunteering, not even just on the last weekend, but for months. How many of you have been doing this for more than 2 months? Raise your hands.
Wow.
Amazing.
Nice. Wow.
Thank you.
How many of you have been volunteering for more than 6 months?
Nice.
How many have been volunteering for more than a year?
Oh my God.
You guys are why we're going to win on Tuesday.
That's right.
Well, I'm so inspired to hear your activism stories. I'm also inspired to hear all of the activism stories of all of the other volunteers who are here tonight, and we're going to be able to hear from some of you here this evening. We have a jam-packed, very exciting agenda this evening with musical acts and speakers and panels and everything that you can imagine, because this is it, guys. This is our last chance to celebrate, and then we're going to go have to celebrate at the doors all weekend and do the hard work we need to do to flip the house. So let's get dressed up and let's go. All right. So we're going to say thank you for right now, and we're going to move on to our next part of the evening, where we're going to be welcoming in a panel. But before we do, we have a really fun little just sneak peek into what it might look like on Wednesday if we win the house.
Deep breath, everyone. Deep breath.
Cue it.
The Democratic majority in the House today passed a bill that would expand Medicare coverage to millions of Americans.
The Democratic-led House Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena President Trump's tax returns.
House Democrats today voted to restore health insurance to 9 million children.
House Democrats are taking on Trump's hard right immigration policies once again.
Voted to reject his tax plan.
The Voting Rights Act is being restored.
Issued a report exposing the Trump administration's game plan for censoring climate scientists.
Permanently blocked Trump's border wall.
Voted to reinstate the rights of transgender service members.
Yet another Trump care bill died today.
Trump's inner circle is advising him to resign
rather than face an impeachment vote.
In the Democratic-controlled House of Representatives.
So it sounds from the applause like many of these folks don't really need introduction because you know who these amazing people are. But I am very, very grateful to have with us an incredible panel of speakers. We have Corey Johnson, who needs no introduction. But in case he does, he is on the New York City Council and the Speaker of the City Council. We're very grateful to have him here this evening. And also an incredible activist and a good supporter of door knocking, which you will learn in a few minutes. We also have next to him Blair Amani, also obviously needs no introduction, another amazing activist and the founder and executive director of Equality for Her. Next, I'll be in the middle chair. And then we have Mike Blake, who is a long-time Obama alumni friend of mine, as well as the New York Assemblyman and Vice Chair of the DNC. And then last but not least, we have Elise, who is the president of NARAL Pro-Choice America. All right, so this we just saw a really fun, inspiring video. So before, I want to do a couple of quick questions about the activism we're doing, but before we do, I think it's important to set the tone of the evening. There's a lot at stake in this election, we all know that. You all are working on a variety of different critical issues. Thinking about that video, which hopefully you may or may not have seen in the back room over there, but showed a very rosy picture of what it could look like if we take back the House in terms of policy issues. What are the issues that are at stake in this election, and how will the results impact the work that you do? start with Corey and go around.
First of all, thank you for having me tonight. I am excited to be here, but also so anxious about the next 5 days because of what is at stake. And so I'm going to rattle off, I think, a bunch of issues that are at stake for New Yorkers, but are at stake for the entire country. I would say protecting Roe versus Wade is one incredibly important key thing that's at stake. Fighting climate change is one of the, of course, most important things at stake. Protecting workers and labor unions from a hostile Supreme Court. And I think one of the first things that I hope a Democratic Congress will do is fix what the Supreme Court gutted in the Voting Rights Act and the bad Shelby decision. So I think those are some of the, and there are many more which we'll hear about, but those are some of the things that I am focused on, and I'm hopeful that if everyone works hard enough and volunteers and door knocks and we get the results that we need, that those will be proactive things that a new Congress can work on in the midst of everything we're experiencing every day.
Yes, absolutely. Let's get another round. And I'm going to do a real-life retweet on that because I agreed with everything you had to say. But also looking at LGBTQ rights, you know, myself being an out queer Muslim, yes. Boo for queerness, boo for the turning back of our rights, whether we look at trans folks, and gender non-binary folks, gender non-conforming folks. We've had some great forward steps in terms of, the gender marker X being validated in Washington and in California, which is amazing, but it's really alarming to see, the memo, see the movement online, we won't be erased, but still understanding that if, the validity of somebody's gender identity can come under fire, under a horrible political administration, what else? Is that going to mean that there's going to be equal marriage overturned? And so I think there's a lot of things that are very frightening, but I feel like we have to look at what's happened already in terms of voter turnout, early voter registration, the energy, people moving forward and really showing people power. I'm somebody who's an organizer, and I think that it's a win that we've gotten this vocal so far. We have further to go, but I think it's important for us to look at how far we've come as a victory.
In 1968, Dr. King said, "In the end, we will not be remembered by the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." And on Tuesdays, the question is, will we be silent in the face of what we're watching right now? That means for men, you can say I'm a man and I'm a feminist at the same time. That means that I can reject the nonsense of an unconstitutional travel ban against our Muslim sisters and brothers. That means I won't be silent when they talk about a caravan against the Latino community. That means I won't be silent against people with disabilities. I won't be silent against the LGBT community. I won't be silent as a black person because I may not stand for the flag. It has nothing to do about my question on the national anthem. It means I'm sick and tired of black and brown people being shot and killed and nothing happening. That's the question on Tuesday. And so when we put this at stake, and to Adrian, everyone with Swing Left, we got a lot of love for you and we're bringing us all together. Let's make it real clear. We need 23 seats, net seats. There are 25 seats that Secretary Clinton defeated Donald Trump in that a Republican holds right now. There are 119 seats that are more Democratic and leaning than the Connor Lamb seat. We need 17 legislative seats to flip to get 8 chambers, being here in New York. The last time we had a Democratic governor, Democratic Senate, Democratic Assembly in New York, we changed Rockefeller drug laws. Things happen when Democrats are in control. So this is what's at stake. But we saw this in 16 when numbers looked good and we didn't finish the deal. And we don't have the luxury to sit on the sidelines of what's going on. So to the question of what is at stake, we can help change the game and move further in what's happening right now. We shouldn't have a society where you can get unleaded gas, but you can't get lead-free paint and lead-free water and all these different things. We should be in a space where things have to change in our communities right now. It is wrong what's happening, but we can change that on Tuesday if we continue to press forward and not sit on the sidelines, but actually get out the vote.
I have a feeling we're going to get tired of snapping tonight. Aziz over there.
Thank you, Adrian, for pulling us all together. This is like one of the best panels I could hope to be on, and I'm really not used to, but so pleased to be preempted by one of the guys on the panel about saying Roe is a top priority. That's awesome. So, you know, for me, when I think about what's at stake is whether we cede to an extreme minority in this country using undemocratic processes to maintain a hegemonic control over what should be a functional and participatory democracy. That's what's at stake. I think the Kavanaugh fight taught us the lengths that they are willing to go to maintain control because they know their agenda is deeply unpopular and cannot be sustained through the normal means. So what's at stake on Tuesday is a collective, collaborative rising up and primal scream that we will not cede our equality, our common destiny, to the whims of a regressive and cruel minority. Won't do it. Whether it's stealing the courts, suppressing the votes, resorting to racist dog whistles, wedging our communities from one another, we must stand together and say no. And make no mistake, whatever issue we're talking about, they will go to any means necessary. And so when I sit in my seat at NARAL Pro-Choice America, that means exposing and rejecting their faux pro-life, can I say bullshit from the stage, bullshit? When people from a party will introduce legislation in Ohio that would make it a capital punishment for women to seek abortion and control our own bodies and own lives, that's really happening. That has been introduced in Ohio, and those same exact people turn a blind eye to the record rates of maternal mortality in our African American community. Those same people are okay with stealing children from the loving arms of their parents. They do not get to wrap themselves in any shred of morality. And we will show up Tuesday and show what real American values are all about.
This is a hot panel.
This is a great panel. It's a great panel. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine how you couldn't want to be involved with everything that is happening right now. I mean, I know that we're seeing amazing volunteer numbers. You know, many of you are here because you've signed up for the last weekend, which is our campaign to get volunteers out. As of this morning, we had 100,000 volunteers committing over 680,000 hours to GOTV across the country. Many of them are doing it for the first time. I mean, it sounds like, based on the hands raised earlier, most of the folks in this room have done this at least once or twice. But one of the things that we hear most often of volunteers who are just starting is, I don't know enough, right? How can I go talk to voters when I don't know enough about the policy issues? And obviously, you know, you all have a depth of expertise in these things and can speak about it eloquently. What advice would you recommend to those volunteers who are going out and doing this for the first time? And I'm going to note a formatting change here is I hate panels where everybody just talks, so let's have a conversation. Popcorn if you have a thought.
Yes, I'm going to go first because I'm the youngest. Boom. Okay, so, no, as a young person, I feel like it's a lot of that same feeling, right? Where it's like, oh, I don't know enough to do X. I don't know enough to apply for this or, you know, to do whatever it is in the world. But I think that what we've seen, you know, in this past, this past month even, is that we're being led by a country of people who don't quite frankly know that much. And if the things that they do know are very twisted and morally corrupt and, you know, aren't rooted in what the people want. And I think that it's important for us to all know that we are an expert in our lives. You know, only I can speak from my perspective because I'm me. Only you can speak from your perspective because you're you, and you know the issues that affect you locally. You might not know the policy numbers or the different bills that they are called, but you know what they do to your bottom line. They know what they do to your life. And so I think coming from that human perspective, and especially when you're doing door knocking, the first time I did door knocking was when I worked at Planned Parenthood, and love Planned Parenthood. And we were doing canvassing for Zika virus. And so we had our, one-pagers, and we had the information we were trying to get to people, but it really came down to a human connection. It's knocking on those doors, looking somebody in the eye and saying, I have information for you, or I'm taking a moment out of my day to connect with you. And that's something that really, I think people really take honor in, and they really feel appreciated. When you are going out of your way to make them feel like they should be heard as well. And so I think if you look at it that way, it's not something you have to know, it's not something that you need a credential for, you have to have a degree for. It's you taking that effort and that time out of your day to make those human connections and make people feel empowered. And that's something that we all have the power to do, whether it's, a pat on the back, a high five, we can all do that. And so I think if you look at it not so much in the what expertise do I lack, but what human connections can I make, it feels a lot more in touch.
We have to make politics and policy personal. We keep treating it in this 30,000-foot conversation, and then people are wondering how to get engaged. When we start talking about healthcare, my mother had breast cancer, she beat it. My daddy had skin cancer, he passed away in 2013. I was born with a heart murmur, had a near-fatal car accident 5 years ago. You start thinking about, how do I make it, right? And so something that we told people all the time in the Obama campaign was find your why. Make it real simple to somebody. Find your why. What is your thing that keeps you going? It's not just healthcare in some theoretical aspect. If it's pre-existing conditions, if it's staying on your parents' plan, whatever it may be, if it's student loans, if it's women's rights, if it's the environment, if we talk about your why, that's how you connect with somebody. And that's how it starts to become something of you know what? Now I'm going to get involved. Because when you're in these final few days, and all of us know this, you are exhausted at the end, right? You see, someone agrees with me on that right there, right? You have to really start to dig deep and ask yourself, what's going to keep me going right now? When all the nonsense is coming my way and I'm trying to figure out how do I keep making these phone calls, knocking on doors, what keeps you going is your why, right? And if we do that and we remind people about that, then that's, I think, how we can get more people to be involved and stay involved through the end.
Yeah, and I think I always remember that story, your why, and I remember thinking, oh God, I don't have a sob story. What's my sob? Nothing that bad has ever happened to me.
LOL, that's like when people write their student, their college applications, they're like, but nothing hard's ever happened to me in the world. And it's you don't need that, you know? You don't need that for a human connection.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and I think it took me a long time working on the campaign in 08, 07 to think about what that why was. And when you get into the heart of it, and you think, what is the thing that made me activate? And I remember growing up in inner city LA. I grew up in a predominantly lower middle income black neighborhood, and then I had to go to private school on the west side with a bunch of rich white kids. And I remember watching my friends in both communities grow up and take different paths. And that was and it wasn't about me, it was about what I experienced and how that impacted me. And I can tell a longer story about it another time, but the point being, I think, I love what you said, Mike, and thinking about how do we find that why? How do we find that issue that makes you just sort of choke up a little bit? Because that's the story. When you're at the doors with the voters, it's going to have a real impact.
I would also say, we are the ones we're waiting for, right? And so stretching ourselves a little tiny bit. I love this story of a young NARAL member who knocked doors for the very first time after Kavanaugh, and it terrified her. She was terrified. She was terrified to speak to strangers. She was terrified that she wouldn't know the answer to the question. And what she said was, if Dr. Blasey Ford could get up there and speak her truth, then I can get up and conquer my fear and just knock that one door and see how it goes. And speak to your why. And, I always say, a why can be an issue, but, our whys are values, and when people, because if we think we're tired of making phone calls and knocking doors, and I'm gonna do a lot more between now and Tuesday, and NARAL members just passed their millionth call on Friday, this election cycle. If we think we're tired, and I think this is really important because I've been in a lot of states, the voters who aren't doing the door knocking and aren't doing the calling, what they're tired of are the ads, the noise. What they're craving is authenticity and someone genuinely engaging them. And just know, when you're knocking doors and when you're calling, just showing up is half the battle, because the idea in someone's mind that you would spend your free time as a volunteer doing that is so impressive. And then the other thing is real conversations, right? People at the doors, I have found, they really want someone to listen to them and reflect back, hey, we have common values, and together we are the ones we are waiting for, and together we are gonna take that first step in building our collective future by voting on Tuesday.
I, of course, agree with everything folks said up here, and I would say one thing that's gonna, I think, make it slightly easier, sadly, for the swing districts, the flippable districts that are in the metropolitan area that we're in on Long Island and the Hudson Valley and in northern New Jersey and on Staten Island, is the contrast is so stark between our candidates and their candidates. And what we're seeing in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks is, just give an example of a random Senate race in Arizona where the Republican candidate is saying that she's going to protect people with pre-existing conditions, even though she voted to gut pre-existing conditions.
They are lying all over the country.
So they're
It's
lying
amazing.
now, and,
Yeah.
and so what we need to do is actually, and it's not that complicated, remind people, the vast majority of voters agree with us on the issues. So if we remind them that, sorry, the Democrat that is running supports protecting the Affordable Care Act and people with pre-existing conditions versus the incumbent who voted to gut the ACA, they're pretty easy and stark contrasts to make. I am HIV positive. I'm the only openly HIV positive elected official in the state of New York, and each one of us, whether it's us personally or a family member or a friend, can easily talk about a healthcare challenge that we've experienced in our own life. And then the last thing I'll say on this, and I don't want to make a statement that potentially is going to pertain to every campaign, but most campaigns on the final weekend, it's actually, persuasion has sort of ended, and it now becomes about GOTV, the people that have been identified over the last year, year and a half, who say they're Democrats or say they're not Democrats, but they want to vote for a Democratic candidate. We are recontacting those people, reminding them to vote, giving them their polling site, making sure they have a plan. So there's actually probably not going to be a ton of persuasion involved. It's actually going to be a lot of reminding people what their polling site is, what their plan is, what time the polls are open until. And so if you haven't done it before, you're a little nervous about the issues. First of all, the issues are very stark. And second, there may not be a ton of persuasion involved. It's actually just pumping people up to have a plan on Tuesday.
And Michael, since we're in New York, you should tell these folks who are an Uber ride away from Fasso's district the difference between Delgado and Fasso and why we need to keep the vote out there.
Well, Fasso's an asshole, but I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? Like, I mean, is that, I know we're on live stream. Just saying, just being real about that, right?
I'll remind you that the lawyers have also told us we
okay,
cannot
lawyers.
mention certain candidates.
I'm a minister and I cuss
But
anyway.
look at
It's gonna
that
be fine. Everything's gonna be
authenticity.
fine.
That's what the people are craving, you know?
We out here, right? But to the point, and continue on something that Corey just said, we have to be very clear that we just don't say the Republicans are bad. We got to tell people why we're good. We got to be very clear about why there is a difference in this. So when you have people like Fasso and Katko and Collins, right, and Donovan, who have done all these different things to try to take your health care away, who have tried to block opportunities when it comes to education, Then when you have someone like Antonio Delgado, no, he wasn't just a rapper, he was a Rhodes Scholar. Like, let's be clear about that, right? Like, be very clear. Like, Max Rhodes is not just someone who just randomly showed up, he served our country. Like, be clear about our candidates in that manner. But equally, when we talk about the education, it's also the education that is not just the elections we voted for here in New York. You got to flip the ballot. Also, here in New York, you got the 3 questions that are happening in that manner, and the education around that, one of which is around civic engagement, right? We can't just talk about it, we got to be about it all the time and being involved in that manner. But just so we have an excitement about what's going on and the level of engagement, when you're starting to look at the races around the country, as of about, give or take, a week or so ago, Democratic turnout versus Republican turnout since Trump had been elected was 4.3 million votes higher across the country. Like, the energy is real everywhere. You look at what's going on in Texas, you know, with Beto, which everywhere you look at Beto, you gotta be excited about that. When the 30 most populated counties have already exceeded all of early voting from 4 years ago, something special is happening right now. A bunch of us are going back down to Florida to go make sure Andrew Gillum wins that race tomorrow, right? Because there is a difference between Gillum and DeSantis, right? And there's a very clear difference in Georgia, and that's why Stacey Abrams got to go in that race, right? And so, like, and if you didn't see, we had a major victory that happened because of the lawyers in Ohio, where the judge ruled that they cannot stop the people that have been purged from the list, that they have to allow provisional ballots right now. So the 1 million people that they're trying to purge. So let's be clear, there's a difference between us and them, and being very clear about that. Like, you can't just say Trump is bad. People know Trump is bad. They know that it's a racist, sexist, misogynistic demagogue. They got that already. They need to understand that we are good, and that's why we're gonna win on Tuesday.
And the one thing I wanna add is, Adrian and I were on the panel a few weeks ago at DragCon, RuPaul's DragCon, and one of the things that we were saying, and why I'm so grateful that all of you are here tonight, because if you're here tonight, I think hopefully you'll relate to this, that our democracy requires activist participants, people that participate in elections and in issues that matter. And that means that tweeting is not enough. That means that posting on Facebook is not enough. We have to go out and change hearts and minds of voters and make our case of why it is so important. And so I think that one of the most exciting things is all of the new energy that we've seen in the last 2 years amongst folks that never participated in that way before. And then also I'll say that folks, and I'm sure many of you relate to this, I relate to it, and every time I'm surprised actually after I door knock, there is something that is calming and cathartic about actually doing something active and participating rather than sitting around and refreshing Twitter and looking at the New York Times app and worrying about it. There is something sort of kinetic and calming about actually participating in a meaningful way. And when you do that, that is the time to tweet and put on Facebook that you are out door knocking and you want people to come with you and to make it seem attractive and fun and interesting. And I think that is one of the things that we're seeing now, are people that have never done that before, who are posting that they are doing that, and they are attracting other people to come and participate in the same way.
The best part about that panel was when Bob said, Bob has a lot of Twitter followers, we were informed of that, and said, well, I guess I can tweet, but you all have to go do something else. And the best part about tonight is everybody is canvassing.
I'm like, if Oprah can take time out of her do it, if Oprah can take time out of her busy schedule.
Yes, Oprah.
Yeah. Oprah.
In velour.
Oprah, who doesn't.
She was wearing velour.
Oprah, if Oprah can do it, and make time, then you can do it, okay? And I believe that wholeheartedly. If you're not knocking doors this weekend because you're busy, because you have brunch plans, take brunch to the doors and knock doors with mimosas, okay?
And look, I want to say 2 things quickly, is that, first of all, we know, because we asked earlier and you raised your hands, that you guys are already doing this work, although you probably still can do more. If you're signed up on Saturday, you should sign up on Sunday. Take off work on Monday, because we need as many shifts as we can get, and Tuesday, because we need every single person dragging out to the poll. So we also need to get you guys are the core. You're here tonight because you are our core volunteers, and we need all of you to go out there and make sure that tomorrow and Saturday you're making sure that you double this room. That it's not just this room going out and canvassing in swing districts near New York. It is 100 times bigger. And we can do that by making sure that we're not just going out there and knocking doors, but we're also recruiting, because we need to be a recruiting machine right now. We only have 4 days left.
I just want to pick up what Corey was talking about, because one of the most fabulous things I'm seeing as I crisscross the country is, and I think this goes to what you're talking about, like something real is happening out there, and part of what's real is that we're not just turning out the vote, we're not just door knocking, we're actually building a community. And so this is the last weekend before November 6th, but that community will pick back up and support these people we put into office, because remember, that's when the work begins, right? We can't get them elected and then disappear, because guess who fills that vacuum? So I am really inspired. When I think about what inspires me, it is not that random individuals are turning up, although we love the random individuals that turn up. I'm actually seeing groups of 6 and 8 friends who might normally go to the beach or go for a hike in the mountains instead actually build this community and make civic engagement and political action a part of their daily culture, because that's what it's going to take. Short term, everything about Tuesday. Then we party, hopefully. Then we sleep. But come January 3rd, we need to be there supporting the values and the policy agenda of the majority we have put in place.
Can I say one more thing? I mean, I also think, as hopeless as we can feel on a day-to-day basis, watching the madness from this Congress and this president, and as ahistorical as these times seem, and as democratic pillars of society are attempting to be toppled and norms are being challenged on a day-to-day basis, I actually hope that people can feel empowered, as difficult as that is. And the reason why I say that is, if we look just in modern American history, every modern movement and civil rights struggle that we've seen, whether it's the women's suffrage movement or the African American civil rights movement or the LGBT civil rights movement or the movement against the Vietnam War or the movement for farm workers' rights, they were not movements that were led by politicians. They were movements that were led by people. They were movements that in that moment in time, the odds felt far too high and the deck seemed stacked against those folks that were in power. But what happened was angry, organized citizens rose up. They said that they had enough and they were going to put themselves on the line through the hard grunt work of activism and organizing to make change. And people said that it wasn't possible. And what we saw is that it was possible. And it is possible now if we do the work between now and Tuesday, that difficult work that will pay dividends for the years to come.
That's right.
Last word, and then we're going to have to wrap.
Just first, thank you for what you have been doing and what you're about to do for this weekend, and how we're going to keep this mobilized. 2 real fast anecdotes to drive home this point. In 2000, State Senator Barack Obama ran for Congress. He didn't win. He only had the right credentials for 2 days of the convention that year. Because he kept putting in the work, 4 years later, the same convention he couldn't attend, he was the keynote speaker for. 2 years after that, because he kept putting in the work and everyone put in the work across the country, even though Republicans outspent us 2-1, we took back Congress. 2 years after that, because we kept putting in the work, 45 years to the day of Dr. King giving the I Have a Dream speech, Barack Obama became the Democratic nominee. Things happen when you keep putting in the work. When you saw that after we had that absolutely crushing loss in 16, it was because women stood up and mobilized, and we had the Women's March, and all of us continue to keep going thereafter. It happens when we keep putting in the work. It's why Ashley Bennett in New Jersey, when a Republican male said the day of the Women's March that he hoped that women would be home in time to make dinner, she defeated him to become a county freeholder. Things happen when you keep putting in the work. So we bring this together because last month here in New York, 4 years ago, about 580,000 people showed up for the primary. Last month, 1.5 million showed up. One of those people was a woman named Edith Conyer. She lives in the South Bronx. And Edith, after she voted, she said, you know, Assemblyman, it felt good to vote. Said, of course, it always feels good to vote. She said, I'm 87 years old. And she said, the first time I voted, I had to take a literacy test. And I said, wait, say that again. She said, I'm from Fort Mott, South Carolina. And the first time I voted in 1964, I had to take a literacy test. And I've never missed an election ever since. If 87-year-old Edith Conyer, with her walker, could overcome a literacy exam, could overcome all that has happened, then we can find a way, no matter what's going on, to overcome all the nonsense that we've been feeling the last 2 years and knock on more doors and make more phone calls and bring this home. We've been showing what's possible when you have Keisha Lance Bottoms, who's mayor in Atlanta, and Vi Lyles in Charlotte, when you have Justin Fairfax, and you have Sheila Oliver, when you have Monica Dinger in the state of Washington. But now it's about bringing this home so that we have a monster night next week. It's not just about talking about it. Let's be about it on Tuesday. Woo!
I hate to do this, but this panel has to come to a close. So I'm going to say two things.
No!
No, it's so fun, right? So first of all, as much as I admire the enthusiasm and as much as I am impressed by the increasing voter registration and voter participation numbers, one thing that we will bring home tonight many, many times is this is not in the bag.
It is not.
Do not get complacent. We have probably about 12 seats that we think are safe and another 35 that are going to be won on the margins. And that is why we're doing this work, because we know, especially when these margins are close, that the work that we're all doing, the work that you guys are all doing, knocking on doors, talking to voters, those are the voters that are going to tip us over the edge. And so this work is incredibly important. And that is why my final question to all of you, and let me preface this by saying, Mike, you've been very bad about the no candidate rule, so no more candidates. Where, in which district are you going to be working in this weekend?
On Saturday, we're organizing buses up to the Hudson Valley. So if folks are interested, they can see Eric Botcher sitting in the front row. Raise your hand, Eric. We're going to have buses from Union Square at 8:30 a.m. going up to the Hudson Valley, where, of course, there's a congressional race with candidates I will not name, and multiple, I think 4 swing state senate races in that same congressional district. So it's a twofer. You get to work on taking back a House seat and important swing state senate seats. So I'm doing that on Saturday. On Sunday, I'll be in South Brooklyn, and on Monday and Tuesday, I'll be bopping around.
So I live across the street from the Kingsborough projects in Brooklyn, and the thing that's happening with folks who live in the projects is the police come every night at 11 p.m. and patrol with the lights on. We also have a smoking ban, basically more ways to criminalize black folks and poor black folks at that. So what I'm going to be doing is knocking on doors throughout the projects all over Crown Heights and into Weeksville, into Brownsville, because these folks need to be heard as well. And it's not enough to just have Democrats in those seats. It's important to have Democrats that are against, you know, a police state, who are against mass incarceration. So we're activating folks in blue districts too.
To find the names of the people I'm going to be spending time with this week, follow me on Twitter, Mr. Mike Blake. Follow me on Twitter at Blake for NYC. And where will I be? Tomorrow morning, I get on a flight at 6:30 in the morning to go to Orlando. Then I come back up to go to New Jersey to go help 4 congressional races in New Jersey. Then we go back down to Miami to go help in Miami for up and down the ticket. You could probably figure out what I'm talking about for Florida. Then we're going to fly out to Wisconsin, because we got a lot of races in Wisconsin. And then before coming back home to New York, I'm going to end in Illinois, because there's a remarkable sister that's running for Congress.
Blake, you did it. No candidates. You did it. No candidates.
I am going to be up earlier than Michael Blake, because my flight for Texas leaves at 5:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. No candidates. I'm going to hit Houston and Dallas. No candidates. Go Texas. Sorry, I'm a 4th generation Texan, so I am going home tomorrow. But Saturday I will be in Iowa. Sunday, I will be in Michigan and Illinois. Monday, I will be in Minneapolis and upstate Minnesota. And then Tuesday, I will be back in DC because I did not early vote. But I will say, as a Texan, my mom does her part by driving people to the polls, and she is a fluent Spanish speaker, and she has been driving some of the same people to the polls, many of them native Spanish speakers, because she can talk with them for 20 years. This year, many of them are scared to go to the polls. They are scared because even though they have been voting for years, they may have family members that they feel are in jeopardy. They may have family members who had their passports stripped from them on the border, which has been happening. And I want to end on a high note, but I also want to acknowledge that fear is their plan to win. Fear is their plan to win. And in the wake of the synagogue shooting, which came on the heels of a hate crime in Kentucky that got far too little media against an African-American couple there, on top of the bombs sent to leaders last week, hate is hate is hate. Love is love is love. And in our collective love and solidarity and unity, we will prevail.
The end of this weekend has to be RIP doors. Those doors need to rest in peace because you're going to be banging on them. So RIP the doors.
Pro tip, go to a sports goods store. There's a lot of sales happening, and get you some gloves because those knuckles will be red.
That's right.
We should get some gloves with Swing Left logos on them. Thank you guys so much.
Adrian rocks.
Adrian, yay, Swing Left.
Adrian rocks.
This panel rocks. You guys all rock. This is what it's all about. I am so excited to have all of you here, and we're going to close out this panel by just saying, I know you guys are all flitting all over the country, or some of us at least, but those of us who are staying here, we have over 7 races that are going to be right here in New York and New Jersey, and those are 7 of the races that are going to help us take back the House. So we'll see you in New York, New Jersey races this weekend, and thank you guys for being here.
Thank you. Go out this weekend.
No more cameras on stage. You got to photograph the volunteers because they're the celebrities. That's the whole point. Okay. Piper. Back to...
Thank you. Hi, you guys. I want to thank you really quick for all you have done and all you're about to do this weekend. And as a form of thanks, we have something so beautiful for you as thanks and also to fuel you as you go into the last weekend. I am so honored to introduce composer, pianist, and UN Artist Ambassador, Chloe Flower.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Think, let your mind go, let yourself be free. Let's go back.
Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be here. So I'm going to play 2 songs for you tonight, and this first song is an arrangement that I wrote based on one of the most famous and classic melodies in the world. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. So before I play my last piece, I just want to say how honored I am to be here with you guys in this amazing room. And so thank you again for having me. And also, I will be volunteering this weekend. So I hope to see all of you guys again in a couple days. Ryan, you can play the track. This is also, my friends call this the turn up and vote track, which is why I'm playing it.
Well, hi there. Thank you. Could have done that earlier as I was walking out. I'm Cecily Strong. I'm a volunteer tonight. I'm using my phone because I'm working this week, so I have no brain. I'm a volunteer tonight. I am a woman tonight as well, which is also one of the reasons I'm volunteering here on my work week. And again, I'm very tired, so forgive me if I forget sentence structure or anything like that. But I am here tonight because I have to be. I don't know if you know this, I worked at Planned Parenthood in Chicago when I was 25. I don't know why I'm leaning down. I'm already awkward enough. I worked at Planned Parenthood at the corporate office when I was 25. And so what that meant is that every time somebody just looked up the phone number of Planned Parenthood, that call came to me first. So that means I heard all those calls. I heard all of the fear and the anger and the exhaustion and the confusion and the annoyance and also like the fucking mundane, because healthcare is fucking mundane no matter like how obsessed these creepy fucking guys are with changing the laws. It's fucking mundane. But some of those calls really did stick with me, and I've carried them with me, and I think I always will. Now I will say, right now, it feels a bit, like my skin has been turned inside out, and everything stings to touch. I don't know if you guys feel that way. Because like the past 2 years, like sexual assault just keeps being shoved in our faces and talked about by all like the worst fucking people to talk about it. And why do we have to keep talking about it if it keeps ending with like a coronation of the assaulter? Because like, ouch, that sucks. And I have to do a show about current events, and I have to find a way to laugh about it too. But I think we probably all do in order to survive right now. But that's also why I'm here volunteering, because I can't only be turned inside out, because I can't only be a person who despairs, you know? I'm actually happy to be something other than that sometimes. It's rare, but it's sometimes. But showing up and volunteering and then flipping the fucking house, that's power. That's power. And so if you're like me at all and like the worst voice in your head is screaming right now with devastation and despair and saying like, what's the point? You're still showing up and you're taking power back. And even though I want to sob all the time with my dog, I can't because of all the girls that were on the other end of the phone at Planned Parenthood. Now, speaking of power, I am thrilled to introduce our next performer. I think we're becoming new best friends. This is our second event together. We're kind of like New York Housewives now. Please welcome Sarah Bareilles.
Well, hey! How you guys doing? You depressed too? Cool. I am so happy and relieved to be here tonight. It feels really good to be amongst friends and amongst people who are working hard to make a change. And I was not in the room earlier when you raised your hands, but how many of you, this is your first sort of politically engaged event in this manner where you're volunteering for the first time? Is this your first Swing Left event? It's mine too, FYI. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone, for the people who have already pioneered these roads for us and who are leading us forward, because I'm canvassing on Saturday. I'm taking a bus to New Jersey, gonna knock on some damn doors, and I'm gonna really keep spending my time and energy talking about the politics that are personal, which I think was such a beautiful statement brought up earlier, because it is personal. So you all are badasses for being here. And I'm gonna share with you, this is a world premiere of a live performance of a song that I started writing oddly in January of 2016. And it's brand new, and it's about community, and it's about sisterhood, and it's for the women, but it's for all my sisters, but all our friends as well. So this one's called Armor. Let it begin, let Adam in. Step one, original sin. Underneath the leaves, Adam found Eve. Both of them found something sweet under the apple tree. Then it was over, roads divide. Step two, learning how to lie. Let me ask a question to present day. How the hell did Eve end up with all the damn blame? All the damn blame. Two, all the dirty looks, the kitty cat calls to the ones who try and throw us up against the back wall. Let me tell you something you understand. Only the little boys tell you they're a big man. To all my sisters and all our friends, we have to thank them, please. Strength means blessed with an enemy. Oh, my armor comes from you. You make me try harder. Oh, that's all I ever do. Oh, no, no, my armor comes from you. You make me stronger. Hand me my armor. Step 3, I see the unforgettable, incredible ones who came before me. Brought poetry, brought science, sowed quiet seeds of self-reliance, bloomed in me. So, oh, here I am. You think I am high and mighty, mister. Wait till you meet my little sister. Oh, my armor comes from you. You make me try harder. Oh, that's all I ever do. Oh, no, no, my armor comes from you. You make me stronger. Hand me my armor. What you didn't do to bury me, but you didn't know I was a goddamn seed. You don't scare me. I am of the earth. So tired of your empire. Blind men only set the world on fire. Sad you can't see it. You brought the flame. Here comes the phoenix. You make me try harder. Oh, it's all I ever do. Oh, no, no, my armor comes from you. You make me stronger. Hand me my armor. You make me try harder. Oh, that's all I ever do. Oh, no, no, my armor comes from you. You make me stronger. Hand me my armor. 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 Hand me my armor.
Thank you so much.
It's a really scary thing to play a song for the very first time, so thank you for being an absolutely beautiful audience. I will carry that with me. Thank you very much. And if you're itching and aching to sing along to something, I hope you'll join me on the next one if you happen to know it. I wrote it as a love letter to a friend who was struggling with coming out for the first time. And this song sort of took on a life of its own, which as a songwriter is the greatest thing you could ever hope to imagine. But as I watch LGBTQ rights come into question and get punished over and over again, this song takes on a new meaning for me every single day. So if you know it, please sing along. She came out and she's loud and proud, and I love her for it. So she's safe and happy now, guys. You can be amazing, you could turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way the words do when they settle beneath your skin. Kept on the inside and no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins. But I wonder what would happen if you say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. What you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. Want to see you. I just want to see you. I want to see you. Everybody's been there, everybody's been stared down by the enemy, fallen for the fear and done some disappearing, bowed down to the mighty. Don't run and stop holding your tongue. Maybe there's a way out of the cage we live. Maybe one of these days you can let the light in and show me. What you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. What you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. And since your history of silence won't do you any good, did you think it would? Your words be anything but empty. Why don't you tell them the truth? Say what you want to say. Let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. What you want to say. Let the words fall out. Honestly, I just wanna see you. I wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. I wanna see you. Just wanna see you. I wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. Thanks, everybody. Swing left. Vote.
Some friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Want it?
What's going on, y'all? I'm Chris Red.
Yeah, and I'm Melissa Villasenor.
Yeah. And y'all are people.
Woo.
Hey, yo, Adrian, you were telling us about these VIP super volunteers, right?
Yeah.
What's up with them? Where they at?
They are awesome. I mean, there are a lot of them in the crowd tonight,
Yeah.
but we have 3 in particular up here who I want to shout out. Is Chris Bowman here? There's Chris.
Yo, strong name. Strong name, player.
You're going to come up on stage now.
Yeah, give it up for him.
I don't think he knew that was about to happen.
Yeah, I like the silence into another clap. What's up, Chris? How you?
How you doing?
Yeah. Yo, you're super. That's what you are, fam. Are we gonna talk to one at a time? I'm a very streamlined.
The three of you come up here.
All
They're
three.
in the VIP row right here next to Chris.
VIP volunteers. I like your choice in jean jacket. I'm just trying to wait to make some time so they can get up here. You know what I mean? Nice haircut, real slick. It says you make decisions.
I want one
like
of those
that, Chris.
pins.
Hey, super volunteers. How are y'all? All right. Now, you guys have been volunteering for a while, right? Like, is it hard out there in these streets?
It's actually not that bad. I think, at least for me, you know, like every once in a while you go out, you have a tough conversation, somebody will be like, you know, make America great again or be really negative about it. But I think for every one of those people that I knock on their door or call them or text them or whatever, there have been like 10 to 20 people who have like hugged me or said, I really appreciate what you're doing or understand what you're about. And I think like that's kind of what this whole thing is about, is like there's a minority of people out there who are kind of bad, who have some power right now, but the majority is very good. And I think like whenever I go out, I end up reaching those people, and that's what kind of inspires me to keep going.
Well, that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
I live in a very red area, and when we canvassed, it was awesome to actually find progressive people who felt like they were by themselves. And so we just said, no, you're not alone. And then they were just so excited to have us. Someone actually drove by and said, it's so nice to see Democrats canvassing here. So that was when I...
That's beautiful.
I would also say that people genuinely thank you when you're going door to door. I've gotten that more often than not, and I think they appreciate your voice, and they want to hear, and they want to be listened to more than anything else, listened to. So it's actually easier than anyone would ever. It's easier than what's in your mind.
Wait, you said like a very red. Where did you have to? Where are you from?
I'm from NJ05 in a western portion, small town called Belvedere.
Belvedere. Oh, okay. I heard of y'all alcohol before. That's beautiful. What if you get somebody that's like, you know, saying crazy stuff, like alternate universes? Like, how do you handle? Have you had anybody crazy like that?
I haven't had anything crazy like that,
Yeah.
but I'm prepared every time I knock on a door that I'm going to get something crazy like that.
Right.
But they just really want to be heard, and so you listen, and sometimes I think, oh, I have that in common with them, and so then I think, okay, well, I'm going to chime in here and tell them, you know, something that we have in common, and sometimes the conversation goes well, and sometimes we just say, thank you, have a nice day.
The dialogue is important regardless. That's beautiful, man. Adrian, what else you want us to ask? I'll just play it.
I mean, you guys are improv artists. You're supposed to make stuff up on the fly. It's the whole bit.
Yeah, I'm making stuff up every second I'm up here. No, I'm playing. I'm just kidding. Wait, so like, I want a demonstration of some kind of like how you would handle like an actual situation.
Well, I actually have somebody. First of all, thank you guys. Let's give a round
Thank
of
you
applause
so
for our
much.
amazing superstar volunteers. And I mean, yeah, I think we can help you figure out how to. You guys have never knocked on doors before, right?
No, not
Only
for
for
voting.
caroling.
Caroling is good.
I was selling windows and siding, which is a very weird thing to sell.
I mean, that's knocking on doors, though. So you have some experience. All right, but we can check. Ian, are you in the house?
Ian, where's Ian?
Where's Ian?
Ian.
Ian.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, we need you. We're gonna do something. right
Ian,
now.
what's up, man?
What are we doing?
Ian is also surprised to be on stage. Okay, we're gonna do. This is how the whole night goes. Improv all the way. We
Let's
are
go.
just taking from your example. So we're gonna do a little role play. We're gonna
Okay.
show you what it's like to canvas, and then hopefully you'll be prepared to go. You ready? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm the canvasser. You guys are all pros, so you know how this is, but we got to teach these newbies. And Ian is at his door.
Turn down the television. Turn down the...
Hello.
Hi.
Ian, my name is Adrian, and I'm volunteering today to help make sure that everyone turns out to vote on this incredibly important election on Tuesday. I'm here to chat with you. Do you plan to go out and vote for the Democrats on Tuesday?
Well, I mean, I support Democrats.
Great. Well, that's good. And can we count on your vote?
I mean, we're in New Jersey. I mean, this is a blue state.
No,
Do you need my vote?
Oh my, Ian, I'm so glad I came to visit you today because I'm canvassing today of all days because this election coming up on Tuesday is so important. And actually, the swing district that you're in, here in New Jersey 7, this is going to be one of the tightest races in the country and one of the races that's going to determine whether we take back the House for Democrats.
Right here.
Here in New Jersey.
Like on this block.
Yeah, and it could come down, well, I mean, it could be this block, it could be the next one, but your vote matters. That's the point. It's really important. It could come down to just a few hundred votes. So can we count on you to show up on Tuesday and support us so we can take back the House?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Of course.
Great.
I'll vote.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So, Ian, let's make what's your plan? What time do you think you'll be out to vote?
I mean, I have to go to work.
Yeah, work's a good thing to do.
When do the polls open in the morning?
Yeah, can you go before work? It's like maybe 7:30 or 8. Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I carpool with Joe.
Joe, I love Joe. Joe's great. So going with friends is awesome. It's so much more fun to vote with friends. So why don't I mark you down here? You'll go at 7:30 on Monday with Joe. Does that sound right?
7:30 on Tuesday.
I got you. Good catch.
So Tuesday's the election.
7:30 on Tuesday.
November
You're going to
6th.
go with Joe. November 6th.
I'll do that.
Awesome. Ian, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for allowing me to talk to you. Your voice is so important, and we need you on Tuesday, so we're counting on you.
What? Yo,
So that's-
y'all are like very talented at that, man. That was like effortless.
That was really good improv. I stink.
That's like, it's really, you can see how easy it is, right? So, I mean, I think you guys can try it.
Oh man.
Yeah. Why don't you give it a go?
All right, so I'll be the.
Do it.
Okay, so you the canvasser, and I'll answer the door.
Okay, and I have a backpack, okay?
Hey, turn down the TV and the radio. Why y'all got it both playing at the same time in the same room? You can't even. Turn down the macaroni, man. It's too loud.
Man, what a house.
Did y'all finish those stairs? You make sure there's 50 stairs in the front?
What's this guy talking about?
It's an old door.
If you need me to come back, I could clean it with some oil so it doesn't squeak. Okay.
Nah,
look.
we good, man. It's supper time. What's going on?
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hello, Melissa. I am interested in knowing what's next.
Am I what, sir?
I am interested in knowing what's next.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Also,
right.
Darren. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Darren.
All right.
So, I'm here because I want to ask you if you will be voting on Tuesday.
Oh. I don't know, man. Tuesdays are hard. I got so much running and ripping to do. We're in a blue state anyway. I live in New York. Everybody go vote for the right person.
No. Listen to me.
All right.
Your vote really matters, okay?
Does it? I'm like one dude. You know, there's so many dudes. I'm only one of them. So.
I want to see you there.
Turn down the radio. I'm sorry. We have
Turn it
70
down.
radios in there. Anyway, why? What day? It's Tuesday?
Tuesday, and it's really important, and I think it'd make it you'd make a difference.
Well, I do want to make a difference.
Yeah.
Are you going to vote?
I'm going to vote.
You going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is it a party?
Yeah. You want to, do you carpool?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, me and my Uncle Joe, we carpool.
That's great. That's great.
You know, he never bought a car because he carpools with so many people. Anyway, yeah, I'll be with Joe.
Well, bring...
With a cup of Joe. That's
like
a joke
that.
we've been trying to get off the ground for a long time.
Yeah. So you and Joe.
Yeah. So if I could bring Joe,
Mhm.
I will come vote. What, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
November 6th. Are you sure it matters?
What?
You sure my vote matters?
It really matters.
I believe you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come in for some radio?
For some radio? Hell yeah. All right, sir. Well, have a good
Don't
day.
ever go in for radio.
Don't ever go in for radio.
Don't ever go
That-
in for some radio. No. good move.
That was for comedic effect only.
You guys were awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I'm sure you guys are so much better at that
so
than us.
good.
Congratulations to y'all for doing that day in and day out, man.
No
Seen it
joke,
keep
guys.
going.
They
I
have
know.
never done this before. That was amazing. Do you feel ready now?
I do feel ready. Man, I can't wait to go vote, man. for
Are you
real.
going to go out this weekend
And what?
and do? You're gonna.
Oh, did I say that? Was that what that waiver was in the
you're
back?
gonna knock on doors this weekend. Can we
I'm gonna
count
knock on
you?
a few doors. Yeah, I'm gonna knock on a few
All
doors.
right,
yeah,
we
for
got
sure.
it.
I could Sunday after Saturday.
SNL is going canvassing this weekend. Yes. You guys are amazing. Well, you know, one of the things that we did, which I want to highlight, which is important, to take it down to a somber note, is we got to make a plan. You know, the reason that we're going out there this weekend, and the reason that it's so important to go out the last 4 days is because it's not just about reminding people that their vote matters, it's also about making sure voters make a plan, because there's all this data that shows us that if you get somebody to actually think about what they're going to, it's like putting something on your calendar, right? If you say, I'm going to go at 8 o'clock and I'm going to bring Joe, then you're much more likely to actually do it because you made a mental plan and you have a checklist in your head. So that's why the work you're doing this weekend, canvassing and knocking on doors, is going to be so important. So thank you guys for committing. And you know, I know these guys make it sound easy, but the truth is, you all are superheroes. And that is why we're going to show you a little video now about what it means to be a superhero.
Have you ever wanted to be an action movie hero?
You know, the big strapping guy who kicks in
Have you
the
ever wanted to
door
be
at
an
the last
action
minute and
movie
says,
hero?
you know, the big strapping guy who kicks in the door at the last minute and says,
Come with me if you want to not die. Or the lady space captain who's like super smart, but also a supermodel. Well, guess what? You can be.
the movie is called The Last Weekend.
The last weekend.
The last weekend.
And unfortunately, it is 100% happening in real life.
We're talking about the last weekend before the midterm elections.
And we need you.
Yes, you.
To be the hero.
You can be the star of this real-life hypothetical movie, but not so hypothetical because, as we've established, it's happening.
You can be The Rock.
You can be Linda Hamilton in The Terminator, just messing up robots with your
Bare goddamn hands. I mean, we are all fighting bots. That is kind of, that really is it's too deep a metaphor. It cuts too close. You could be Tom Cruise, where you're doing that really fast run on set.
Breathing through his nose, woo! And then running too fast and breaking his foot because he's 50 years old and by God, he's only a fucking man.
That could be you.
You just have to volunteer,
Knock on doors.
make phone calls, and remind people to vote.
Volunteer on that last weekend. We need you.
There really is just so much at stake.
The opioid crisis, a woman's right to choose.
The Supreme fucking Court.
Because that went well. Did you know that that's a lifetime appointment? Did you guys all know that that was a life? That's forever.
Our government keeping children in cages.
That is really happening.
Look, you were so good in the first part of the movie. You marched.
You rallied.
You texted friends in the middle of the night. What the
Fuck is happening? But now, all the chips are down.
And we've got to bring this baby home.
So put on your tight white tank top.
Whip off your glasses and let your hair fall down into that tight bun to reveal
How hot you were all along.
Do it.
Just do it.
Just be the hero.
Commit today to volunteering for the last weekend.
Hi. Mark Ruffalo here. Wow, amazing. So, yeah, I just came back from North Dakota. 30,000 people lost their votes, their right to vote. And it was a cynical move by the state of North Dakota because in the last election, Heidi Heitkamp won by 3,000 Native American votes, and they didn't want to see that happen again, so they took away the voting rights of 30,000 people based on a technicality, right? In Georgia, 50,000 people have lost their right to vote. 30% of that, 70% of that, people of color. Now that's what we're up against, right? These people, the Native people in North Dakota are fighting right now, and they're heroes. They're fighting because they know how important it is to have the right to vote. And so they're doing everything they can to get new IDs out to 30,000 native voters. And that takes a lot of grit, it takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of passion, and it takes a lot of resistance. And that's what you guys are doing. You're heroes. You're going out and you're getting people to vote. Now, we've been through struggles in our country before. And we made it through the other side, better and stronger. And I'm hopeful because of people like you, the real heroes. People who are working hard at a positive vision for America. People who've been marching, rallying, organizing, calling, door knocking, educating, and caring for our country. You see, we have a different vision for our country than them. That's what we're doing here. We don't put pipe bombs in mailboxes. We put postcards, handwritten postcards, telling you where your polling station is. We don't threaten your life. We promise you health care. We don't go in and shoot up a synagogue. We give you pre-existing conditions. All right? That's the difference between us and them. That's what we're fighting about today. Now, we're not sitting on golden toilets. We haven't been carving up tax breaks that'll only benefit the top 1% earners. That's not us. The world needs to hear from people like you, the ones who are working to protect the rights of all Americans. Now, I want to introduce a hero. I just play one in the movies. But I want to introduce you to a real hero, a young leader in our fight to take back the House. One of Swing Left's college fellows, Zoe Petrock. Zoe's a senior. Where are you, Zoe? There she is. Look at her. Look at that face. Look at that putum. Zoe's a senior at Fordham University and has been working to turn her fellow college students into volunteers and turn her campus into a staging location for voter contact events, right? Now, she knows that in order to regain progressive power in our government and tackle issues such as student debt, unaffordable housing, healthcare, and immigration, issues so relevant to these young people in our country, beautiful young people. We need a fully mobilized student movement of volunteers to get the people to the polls, and that's what these kids are doing. There's so many millennials that did not show up to the polls in our last election. In fact, Republicans don't want millennials to show up to the polls. Trump and his cronies are betting on millennials not voting in order to retain their power, and Zoe is going to tell us how we're going to prove them wrong.
Thanks so much.
So Zoe, tell me, how did you get involved with Swing Left, kid?
So I got involved with Swing Left about 9 months ago when a good friend of mine forwarded me an email with an application to the fellowship, and I was like, that looks awesome. Sign me up. I'm in. Because the 2016 election was actually the first election I was eligible to vote in, and kind of a rough start, but you know, I really felt like in the aftermath that I didn't do enough. I know I didn't do enough. I just voted. And I think that's what a lot of college students do, is they just vote and they think that's enough, and it's not. So this time around, I really, really wanted to do more. So.
See how smart she is? Okay, so what have you been doing for Swing Left?
So the fellowship program is really focused on mobilizing students on college campuses. So I've been mobilizing my peers at Fordham University to get out and talk to voters. I think there's kind of a stigma about college students and about young people that they don't care about elections and about democracy, but I've really learned that that's not true. College students care a lot. Young people care a lot. And I think there's just a feeling among them from what I've talked to them about is this kind of sense that it doesn't really matter if I vote because nobody's listening anyway. And in my conversations with them, I've kind of been trying to push the idea that, you know, okay, so you feel like your vote doesn't matter. You feel like no one's listening, so go out and talk to people. Go out and tell people what you believe in. Tell people how you think we can make our country better. And that's how you're really going to enact change.
And, you know, seeing you here makes me feel less tired. So Zoe, sign me up. I want to do it. What do I need to do? Tell me how do you do this?
Okay, so we're all going to take out our phones,
All
like
right.
everybody, because I know you have them.
Okay.
And you're going to text to the number. Really close, yeah. 50409. Yeah.
50409. 504.
You got it.
409. I'm dyslexic. All right.
And then you're going to text the word weekend.
I already did this.
You're on top of it.
All right, weekend.
And you should have gotten a message back from ResistBot giving you some information. It says, obviously, the most effective way to get people to vote is by having conversations with them in the last 4 days before Election Day. And it's going to ask you how many hours you can commit to volunteer between Saturday, November 3rd, and Tuesday, November 6th.
Oh man, that's wow. Okay, so how many hours should I sign up for? I mean, what should I put?
As many hours as you can do. 8 hours is a full workday. So do you think you can contribute a full workday to helping us save democracy?
Totally.
Yeah.
A full workday to save democracy? That's nothing. All right, now what?
All right. So it's going to respond, and it's going to ask you for your zip code so that we can give you information about the most crucial races happening around you. So.
Okay.
And then it's going to ask for your email address. Got to get in touch with you somehow.
All right.
All right, yeah.
Wow,
You're going to give them your email address, and that's it. It's really
does
that easy.
everything. I don't even have to do anything except for show up, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, and then you're going to get a list of all the shifts that are available in the next few days so that you can get out and help us save democracy.
I love that. Woo! Zoe, you're amazing. I hope my kids grow up to be like you.
Thank you.
So, all right. So now we have another beautiful. We have to have performance for imagination, right? And so tonight we have the Resistance Revival Chorus to revive and resist us. Resist the Revival Chorus. Come on up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What I Will Be, dedicated to Christine Blasey Ford. What I will be is devastated. Song gutted, quiet hymned, collapse hummed. What I will be is inward tuned. What I will be is shock-stricken, numb-held, blood-sore, heart-sick, stained sonnet, shelved. What I will be is a temper's plume, a flame abandoned, a root unearthed, an ill soil, useless, mud-slung, dirt-owned, dirt-kicked, buried. What I will be is a busted hell. A barb-wired gust. Knocked out, gut punched, screaming burst. Screaming injustice. Screaming, what about us? Screaming, we are here. Screaming, look me in the eye. Screaming, it doesn't matter. Screaming, why? Screaming, I can't. Screaming, I must. What I will be is fury fine-tuned. Focus forgotten, depression's muse, a bodiless prayer unheavened. What I will be is a drifting force, a worthless try, a measured fail, a failed measure. For now, what I won't be is beaten. What I won't be is forgotten. Gone for good, bested by dread, done with the brawl of our souls. What I won't be is complacent, action absent, burn elapsed, motivation flatlined, taken for granted, taken over, taken off, taken advantage of. What I won't be is a coward, an overthrown fight, an apathetic synapse, firing warning shots. What I won't be is pierceless, shame-helmed, finished, final, forgotten. What I won't be is the give up, the give in, the give away. What I will be is the shift in the air, which begins with a unified change in the wind. What I will be is an eruption of movement, the vitals of vindication, a momentum brave. What I will be is here, alongside all of you, alongside us, until the powers that be someday become the powers that once were.
Well, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Oh yes, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Well, I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Oh yeah, I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. You know that we are stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Well, there ain't no harm with your mind stayed on freedom. Oh no, there ain't no harm with your mind stayed on freedom. Ain't no harm with your mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Come on and walk now, walk, walk, better walk, 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 walk with your mind on freedom. Walk, walk, come on and walk, walk, you better walk, walk with your mind on freedom. Oh, come on now. Well, I'm singing and shouting with my mind, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're singing and shouting with my mind. Singing and shouting with my mind. Come on, we are stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. believe that joy in and of itself is an act of resistance. And we ask you to join us as we jump into this leap into the last push before November 6th in some joy. Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took it back. My dignity. Took it back. Now he's under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Went to the NRA and I went down to the NRA and I took back what he stole from me. Took it back. Took it back. Well, I went down to the NRA and I took back what he stole from me. Took it back. Took it back. Now he's under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. And I went to the border and I went down to the border and I took back what they stole from me. Took it back. Took it back. Took back my humanity. Well, I went down to the border and I took back what they stole from me. Took it back. Took it back. Took back my humanity. Now it's under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. And I went to the White House and I went down to the White House and I took back what he stole from me. Took it back. My dignity. Took it back. My humanity. Well, I went down to the White House and I took back what he stole from me. Took it back. My dignity. Took it back. My humanity. Now he's under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. One more time, yeah. He's under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. We have one last song for you, and you have to sing along. Okay? Participatory democracy. Yeah. This joy that I had, the world didn't give it to me. No, this joy that I had, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I had, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give
amazing accompaniment for the whole evening. Thank you to everyone.